All right. Give me 1 second here. I love all the stuff with the live stuff. It just you always end up with some sort of technical difficulties or something. So, anyways, think I got it figured out. So text in the chat or message me or whatever it is. I had some guys message me that said they can't see it, and I was working earlier, and then all of a sudden, it stopped. So no idea. So if you were in the last stream, I apologize. I don't know what happened because literally I sat down 10 minutes ago, was had all the videos set up and everything was ready to go. And then go live and black screen. So if I had the answers, the questions, or the answers to the questions, believe me, I would let you know. So hopefully if you were in the other stream, hold on 1 second. All right, so if you were on the other stream, you probably got kicked off. I apologize. So anyways, it was kind of got a lot of good feedback from the last live session. This is not gonna be the same thing. This is gonna be a little bit different. This is gonna be kind of like just like a mini clinic. Really, all these are kind of mini clinics. Just thoughts pop in my head, and say, you know what, I'm gonna go live and just talk about it. It's different than just recording and editing a video, which I know I need to put one out here soon. I got one ready to go, but just coming on here like on Sunday nights, just sharing thoughts, and if people want to chime in and kind of participate in the conversation, have at it. But kind of the topic on this little clinic or mini session, this one's not going to be as long, is I don't know about you. I mean, again, us as coaches, we are trying to make things as easy as possible, right? And easy on ourselves, and obviously easy on our players, because the less they are thinking about what their jobs are and how they're supposed to perform them, then the better they can actually perform those jobs. At least that's my belief. Okay, so the less you can put into their head, and the less you give them to think about, and the less you give them to remember, because you got to think they're kids too, so they're already in school, already have enough responsibilities, remembering dates and fractions and all this other stuff that comes with school. And then all of a sudden you have to fill into their head what a quarterback has to read on a 3rd and 13. Whether they're in the right hash or left, he's got to remember all that stuff. So the easier you can make things for your offense, your players, the better, because that's going to make you, in my opinion, that much more efficient. So in this topic, or in this session here, I'm going to talk about, or just show you, um, a simple couple little rules that I implement into my offense, um, almost essentially right out of the gates. So wherever your first install, whether it's in spring, whether it's in summer, whether it's right at fall camp, like it was for me in middle school when I used to coach middle school. But in my opinion, these rules that I kind of use myself, I guess you would say I developed. I mean, it's kind of a mismatch of taken from other coaches, and kind of combining it, kind of making something that works well for me, that works best for me. So I'm going to kind of go over just a simple little rule, because I actually got this answer or question from a coach in the last few days. How do you do this? And what does how do you go about making a concept work on both sides, without changing the player, changing the verbiage, or changing the terminology? A lot of different questions, and it basically just fell into the line of, oh well, if you implement these rules, and then just kind of, just like everything else with your offense, where you rep the rules as well as you rep the plays and the concepts and whatever, they'll understand it, and they'll be able to tell you. They'll be able to tell you So they'll be able to tell you that. Hold on one second. I'm just gonna answer something. So I'm getting some comments about where to go. So give me 1 second. Some people got kicked out of the stream here, or got. So give me 1 second here. All right. So apologize for that. Just kind of answer some comments here. So that this is the problem with going. This is the problem with going live. Is you get technical difficulties, kind of mess things all up. You don't expect it. So, anyways, like I was saying, developing these simple little rules and then implementing them day one, day two, whatever it is when you start off. You're installing your offense. That goes a long way. And in my opinion, the rules that I'm going to kind of go over make your offense that much more efficient. I'm a firm believer, true believer of football is obviously mental as it is physical. So, and you've heard that thousands, if not millions of times from not millions of people, but thousands of people. And it's true. And it's true. So again, the less you have them thinking, the more efficient you're going to be. And that's my firm belief. So if you could develop rules for your offense that then in turn give them less to think about. Again, the whole big thing that you hear a bunch of other coaches talk about now is simplify. Well, these rules that I'm going to show you, in my opinion, help simplify, especially when it comes to an offense like the air raid offense, or it could really boil down to any kind of a spread offense, in my opinion, because that's kind of what it's streamlined to, because that's kind of what I run, is that spread offense, that air raid style offense. But any kind of spread offense, in my opinion, probably it would benefit either one. So what I'm going to share with you here in a minute, just kind of going over some rules here. So again, like I said, it's not going to be a long stream. It's going to be just going over these rules and seeing how just implementing these little rules can help you teach, because obviously we're teachers before we're coaches. You're teaching them how to do these things. So the easier you can teach it, the easier they can understand it, the better you're going to be as a football team, in my opinion. So let me pull up my huddle here real fast, and I will show you what we got. I think I have to redo everything, but it's all good. Let's pull that up there, right there. All right. So let me go ahead and share that. Now I'm not gonna be able to see the comments during this, so I apologize if you try and comment. Why is this not letting me? There we go. All right. So hopefully you all can see this. So we're going to flip on over. So there we go. All right. So I have a 2x2 here. For me, this is called Ace. I know some coaches call it open. And quite honestly, if I call open, I usually what I will do, edit this, get in edit mode here. My open is probably just your guys' version of Ace or Ace. So that would be my open. So I like the H back. So, anyways, okay. So my rules. All right. So rules that I go by, or that I kind of talk about now. When I start installing the offense, I will start off with, if it's a 3-day install, which typically I like to try and do is a 3-day install. So then the next 3 days you go back and you reinstall the offense. like a lot of coaches, I like to install the first 3 days out of a 2x2 set. So strictly, you're installing everything out of a 2x2. You're installing stick, you're installing 4 verts, and you're installing mesh. You're installing the snag concept, whatever it might be, just out of 2x2. So you are just doing things out of 2x2. And that's not right. He's supposed to be right about right there. So just out of a 2x2, you could maybe, if you wanted to, implement your split backs. So my split backs might look something like this. I like to put H in the backfield. So that would be my split back. So that would be, to me, that would be my green, because I would go with the R for green would be Z to the right. So then it would flip, and that would be blue. So we would just flip them. That would be blue. Since Z is now on the left, L in blue means left. So that's that. But we'll get into that later. So my rules. Basically, when it comes to the concepts, like those half field concepts, like, for example, if we're running stick, I'll stick with probably my favorite play, stick. So obviously, if we're running stick to left here, whoa, what happened there? Whoa, that's terrible. Let's try this again. So there's our stick, and then there's our swing or shoot route, however you want. So always tell them that when you're running a half field concept, now when I say half field concept, I'm talking about the concepts being ran here. So if you're talking about a play like mesh or shallow cross or even Y cross, those are full field concepts. Those are concepts where essentially the quarterback has to scan almost all the way across the field. All right. Whereas this portion, this area for stick, he's essentially just reading one side of the field and just reading windows of grass in that side of the field. Whereas if he's doing mesh, he might be going from post to wheel to back to mesh. And so again, it's still reading this area, but then on top of that, he could be coming back here to the mesh over, or if there's another post or something over here that you might want to throw in on the backside as is maybe his fail safe or whatever it might be. Again, those are more full field routes or concepts. And what I mean by that too is a player on the backside is running his route into that concept. So like shallow cross, doing the same thing, with the drag or the dig, and mesh with the two meshers. Whereas stick, anyone on the backside is not getting into the concept. Same thing with snag, or same thing with like fade out or something like that. So getting into this, we have in our stick concept, and we're just talking about the concept, not necessarily talking about the backside at all. So with our stick concept, we essentially have a 3-man route combo. Okay. And it'll always be a 3-man. And I tell them stick will always be a 3-man route combo unless somehow we tag something. But I tell them, don't even worry about tags right now. You will just worry about, okay, stick is a 3-man concept. The concept is you have your clear out route or your vertical route, whether you can do that or post or vertical. You have your stick, and then you have the swing or the shoot route. Okay, there's your 3-man concept. And so tell them, no matter what, and and I say, no matter what you hear, this is always the same thing. The number one guy, the most outside guy, or the number one guy will always be the deep vertical route, the clear out route for stick. The middle guy, the middle receiver, will always run the stick route, and the most inside receiver will always run that swing or that shoot, no matter if we are in 2x2 or if we are in 3x1. So what does that do? So let's just change this around. So there's our stick right here out of a 2x2 set. Running back in a 2x2 set, I also tell them this, is part of the concept. In a 3x1, it changes. So let's just draw this up real fast to show you what I'm talking about. So let's move him out just a little wider. Let's get at the bottom of the numbers. Spread him out. So we will have it like that. All right. So now we're in a 3x1. We're in late. A lot of times I just flip my running back like that. It can be same side. Doesn't really matter. A lot of times do that. So now we're in late or 3x1 to the left. Okay. Again, the rule does not change. The rule does not change. So still, you ask them, is stick a three-man concept? Yes, it is. Okay. Where are our three receivers? Well, what are the responsibilities? First receiver has that clear out route. Middle receiver has the stick. Inside receiver has the shoot route. Okay, well, now the running back's not part of the concept, coach. Yeah. So here's the rule that I put into play for a 3x1 set. If we are throwing the ball, unless I tell the running back or I kind of signal to the running back, and we can kind of get into signals later, but unless I signal to the running back to stay in for pass protection, his rule is always swing away from the trips. So he knows, okay, now in a 2x2 set or ace, I am part of the concept. But now they put that third receiver over there. I am not part of that concept, so I have to swing away. Okay, and then we have our backside slant or whatever it might be for stick. Okay, so that's how it would work. And the same thing would work for, we'll just say corner, Y corner, or whatever you call it. I just call it corner because I run it to both different sides. So, oops. If I were to switch it, we're back to our 2x2 set. We'll keep everything to the left here for right now, just to make it easier. And say we're running corner. I mean, corner and stick are so similar, it's not even funny. But again, corner is a corner is a three-man concept. Same thing as stick. The only thing is that changes is we attack the same parts of the field. Tell them that too. We're still attacking this deep portion here, this middle portion here, and the flats. We're just attacking it from different angles now with corner as opposed to stick. So in 2x2, most outside guy, tell him when we start installing this, you have the slants and sit. Okay. Number 2 receiver, you now have the corner routes, a 4 to 5 step corner, and you're breaking out there. And then most inside guy, again, has the swing or the shoot route. And there it is. And that's the rules for a 2x2. Running back is part of the concept in a 2x2 set, in one of those half field concepts in a 2x2 set. So, again, say we go into late, it changes. So it goes into late. Whoops. We will move him a little bit more inside. Okay, we have that. And we flip him over there. And again, the routes outside guy still has the slant and sit. Now middle receiver has the corner route. Now inside receiver has the shoot route or the flat route. And now running back knows 3x1, I swing away. So there are 3 receivers, I swing away always. Even if, for example, I will tag this just to give this look too, just to throw defenses off. I'll put the running back on the side and almost give it a 4x1 look to this one side, just to see how they kind of adjust certain things. And then just this is just me and this little tags that I include. Again, same rules apply. And there's our concept. His rule still is the same. You swing away from the trips. So you can either have him come underneath, almost like a play fake if you want to play fake it, or just have him run underneath, maybe check this real quick and then run underneath. Or you can have him loop around behind, but still he's swinging away. And this is personal preference, however you want. Because obviously, if you have him go behind, you could potentially get in the way of his drop. So it'd be safer to go in front. It's just personal preference. You can put him in motion behind, going early, just to throw the defense off. There's different things. There's so many different things you can do. But what I want you to take away from this is the simple rule of real simple. 2x2 set, running back's part of the concept. 3x1, 3x1 set. The running back swings away from the trips. It's a simple little rule that I just implemented. And then, so we will come away from this here for a minute. Let me just pop off here. And we'll come back to y'all real quick. So I'm going to come back to it here in a minute, but it just I want to come back and see if there's anything in the chat because I can't see the chat at all. It's something that day one, I will go in and I will talk about formations. Talk about formations and say, if we do this, okay, and then before we even install a concept, before we ever install stick or four verse or mesh or whatever it might be, before we do any of that, I will say to them in 2x2, if we run a quick game concept or a half field concept, I know they don't understand what half field concept is, but I kind of explain it to them. Running back, you are part of the concept. If we get into a 3x1 set, running back, you always swing away from trips. You always swing away from trips, no matter what. And they, that first day, they're looking at me like, "What the hell are you talking about, coach? What are you talking about?" And then, I repeat it. I have them repeat it back to me because, again, I'm a firm believer of if they can tell you at first, then they can perform it. Now, obviously, they don't know what to perform yet because you haven't installed anything, but the idea is in their head. You get them thinking about that. Again, we don't want them thinking, but you get them thinking initially, okay, I know that if there's three receivers to my, especially from the running back, if there are three receivers to my left side and we call a pass play to the half, if we call it some sort of quick game with a corner, stick, whatever it is, I'm swinging away. Even in mesh, I'm swinging away. Even in shallow cross, I'm swinging away. Okay. So basically, he has in his head as the running back, if there are three receivers to my side or to my left or my right, I'm going, and we call pass play, I'm going away from those receivers. Unless there's some sort of tag that is added into the play, which sometimes happens, sure. But that is, all those stuff I'm not going to get into in this stream. I just want to show you just how simple it is just to implement this rule. Okay, so let's go back into it again. 2x2 set. Running back is part of the concept. Okay, so we will talk about it, and I'll go and I'll show you how I would do it with, like, for example, mesh. So let me just go back into present here. All right. So we all can see that. Hop right back into it. So let's say we get back into run a mesh. We'll go mesh this way. So there's so many different variations of mesh that you can run. I'm a big fan of the post. So I like the post on this side. So we'll run mesh where the wheel is going to the left here. So we got our post here. We have our wheel out of the backfield here. We have our mesh under here. Mesh over. And then I like some people like the 5-yard gift route here. I personally like another post route, to be honest with you. Okay. So running back is part of the concept here. Okay. If we're calling mesh to the left here, okay, or we call mesh left this way, there is no real mesh left. So it all depends on how you want to call it. I've called it different ways, where it's red, black, or what, red being right, black being left, whatever it might be. Anyways, running back is part of the concept here. Okay. In a 2x2 set. So what if we run mesh out of a 3x1 set? This is where I like it, because I kind of went over this in one of my videos. I like mesh out of a 3x1 set just based on what I do with the running back. So if we go to a 3x1, so we'll stay with late. So move him over here. All right, and we will do this. And a lot of times if I do something like this, if I'm calling mesh or something like that. I might cheat him in a little bit. And a lot of times, usually, I don't keep him that wide anyways. I will cheat that single receiver in regardless. All right, so if we call mesh here, so again, outside guy. Whoa, what happened there? Outside guy for me still has that post. Here comes my wheel right here. So I have my wheel from that middle guy. Okay. Here's my mesh over, my mesh under, and really it's more like a really, really shallow drag. So they may not even really technically mesh because he's got a little bit further to get through that mesh under, and he's my third option technically. So he's got to get really across that line quickly. But what I like too is I will put F on this fast wheel here too. So again, he's still following that same rule. He's swinging away from the trips. So he's not confused there. Does his route change a little bit with mesh? Absolutely, because now he's potentially a shot option, a shot play option here if we don't see that corner take off. Because again, I'm banking on this corner to adjust to the inside more this way or kind of fall back into like a deep third here and not see them running back shooting out of the backfield that quick and expecting kind of a linebacker or possibly even a safety to be responsible for him and possibly hitting this ball 10 yards downfield. So what I will technically have my quarterback do, and this is just me, and again, I may be doing this all wrong, but this is just how I like it, and it's worked well. Don't run a lot of mesh out of 3x1, but anyways, I will tell him to peek the quarterback to peek that corner real quick because in all honesty, if I can hit this running back shooting out of the backfield that fast by bringing this corner in a little bit with this receiver, it gives me this space out here. And if this receiver just goes with that, or this corner just goes to that receiver just a little bit and gives me that little bit of space, so we tell him, peek this corner. If he shoots inside just a little bit or drops deep, you hit this running back immediately right here. 5 yards on the field at full speed, just put that ball out in front of him and let him go. If not, and you don't like what you see from the corner, then we're coming right back here. So you got your simple little read here where it goes post, wheel, mesh under. And then this mesh over. If you have that ball that long, that mesh over should be open here in the flats because that corner is going with the Y or he's bailing out with that wheel route. So that mesh up over ends up being open the backside. So that's how I run mesh. But again, that is still the same rule. The same rule with mesh as it would be. So again, concept, 2x2 set, running back is typically part of the concept. 3x1, and that is a simple little rule that I implement almost instantly. Now, how does it change with motion? And see, again, if you've watched my previous videos, you will know that I'm a fan of motion. And so, unlike maybe other coaches, I try and show or install a motion or two in my install periods because I like motion that much that if I can show the motion early, we can understand it that much faster. And then it becomes that part of our offense that much better. And it just to me it adds something to our offense by not really doing much because it's a low risk, high reward thing for me. Whereas I think it's something that you can just implement really, really easily, especially if you pair it with the rule of the 2x2, 3x1. Okay. So if you pair it with all that, it's in my opinion, it works well. So what do I mean by emotion? Okay. So all right, so we'll stay in that 2x2 set. Say we motion. In this case, we can motion either of our slots because they're both off the line. So, say I want to call a motion where I'm going to shift from a 2x2 to a 3x1. Okay, so say we shift him over, and he shifts over to here, right? Z's over to here, and say we shift over and we call a stick. We call stick. So we for me it would be called ace, shift, late, stick. Okay. They all know by that point that if we shift into a 3x1, we cannot run stick away from the trips. It's got to be part. So in other words, again, the call would be ace, shift, late, stick. Okay. So in the play call, running back here's stick, and we start off an ace. But then he has to understand. Okay, we shifted to late, so now we shifted into a 3x1. So now, based on my rule, we went from a 2x2. Now he motioned into a 3x1. So based on my rule, it's not what we started out in. It's what we are starting to play, running the play as in what formation we are when we run that, when we snap that ball. So we shifted to a 3x1. My rule tells me that we called stick. We called it pass play. I am swinging away. So again, the routes, he shifts over. He is running his stick right there. Have our flat route. We have our vertical. Okay. So there's my concept. Now, what does the running back do? Well, again, like I told you earlier, the rules are he swings away from the trips unless I tell him to stay in for pass pro. So he can either, again, based on preference, and I'm kind of partial either way. But in this regard, we could probably play fake it and then have him swing out this way. We still have our slant there. Okay. So that's how we do. So again, it's all about getting them in the thing. So how do you rep this in practice? So let me kind of stop sharing. So for a minute. So how do you rep that in practice? Well, again, the steps, and if you watched previous videos, I talk about installation and stuff like that and how I go through it. There is a period in there that I got from another coach named Kerry Nolan, great coach down in Florida. He had some sort of period where it was a communication period. I thought, that's a great idea. I took it a step further and I said, well, I'm going to use that period. And I'm going to use that period to kind of work on something where it's more mental focus every single practice, whether it be, hey, we really need mental reps on PAT or whatever it might be. That's later on during the year. Obviously, you can use that period. You have that period marked in your practice plan for every single day where you find something that you need just mental reps on, where you ask them questions. And so I use this period. I call it a platoon period. Okay, because it brings everybody together as a platoon. Okay, and especially early on, I will say, all right, we will use that platoon period in the talking about the formations. All right, show me ace, show me early, and they just got to walk out there. Okay, and then we'll talk about the rules and say, okay, if we go into this, if we're in ace, and we say we want to run stick right, whatever it might be. What's your job? What's your job? What's your job? And they got to tell you. And they have to tell you. And again, early on, are they going to get it right? No. No, they're not. Some of them might, but most of them are going to get it wrong. And that's okay. All right? Because again, you hear that famous cliche line, Rome wasn't built in a day. Okay? But it gets better with time. You got to rep the rules as much as you rep the plays. And the rules essentially help the plays go, because once they understand the rules, then you can be a little bit more dynamic. Okay. So once they understand the rules, okay, 3 receivers to one side. What are my rules if I'm the middle receiver as opposed to the inside receiver? What are my roles if it's a 3x1 receiver set already and on the running back? What are my roles? Okay, so once you implement those base rules, outside receiver has this, middle receiver has this, inside receiver has this, whether it be the running back or an H-back or another slot receiver, whatever it might be, those are the rules. No matter what formation we're in, no matter what play we're running as far as a concept, these are your rules. If you implement those rules, then it's that much easier. So I can show you a few things of how I would run those rules based on different formations. So let's talk about a few different formations. So let me go back and share. And this will probably be where the last little bit I will talk about. And again, let me know if you have any questions. When I go into these little share things here, I can't see the chat if there's any questions, but if there are any questions. So let's go ahead and we're gonna cancel this stuff out real quick. All right, so let's just talk about. We'll do our little split backs here. We'll do our split backs. So move him over, and we'll go into our green set here. Okay, so green. Okay, if we have green like this, again, it's a 3-man concept here. So we're running stick on this side. Same thing applies. Outside man has a clear out route. Middle guy has a stick. Third receiver has a swing. Now, what do you do with the second running back? Well, you can do a lot of things with them. You can tag them out, or again, you could say, well, you got 3 over here, even though the other one is a running back. You swing away because then you have your slant here. Because then you can play a game really with this corner. If you see this corner kind of really bite really, really hard with that, you can do a lot of things with this. A lot of things with this, especially if this linebacker or this overhang defender here is really, really lazy and not really realizing his responsibilities. You can do a lot with this, especially if that corner's bad. That corner stays and just jumps or bites on this, then you have that slant. So I mean, there's a lot of things you can do, but we're talking about the rules, and the rules here simple. Okay, so you have your rules here based on stick. It's a 3-man route combination. Okay, so let's do another formation here. Let's try. Let's do like a bunch set. This is where it gets a little bit more. This is where I change some things here a little bit. Okay, so this is how I kind of do a bunch, because then you say, well, coach, your outside guy technically is your number one, which would be this. He would, if we're running stick out of a bunch set, technically your outside guy would be this guy right here off, the back portion of the bunch. In a way, you'd be correct. However, I for me, and this is me personally, you can do this differently, but this is just, I would count different. I would almost kind of go 1, 2, 3. So 1 would be here, 2, 3. So essentially, he's the outside, he's the middle guy, he's the inside guy. Because again, he's got a breaking, somewhat of an inside breaking route for run stick to this area portion of the field here. He's got more room to cover here, so he's got the little flat route here. He just is clearing out the vertical. More than likely, because a lot of times when you show up in a bunch, you're going to get a corner that's going to try and a lot of times jam that receiver right there at the line. Try and just do not let him off the line. That's what a lot of. Oops, what happened there? I just messed everything up. I'm sorry, guys. Dang. All right, so I'm going to try this one more time. I apologize for that. What happened? There's a button there. I couldn't go back on it. All right, so we'll move this bunch in just a little because I usually don't have it that far off. So again, I'm different, I guess you would say, and I number a little bit different, whereas this is 1, 2, 3, so I count it backwards. And again, a lot of times we will have a defender try and jam that first receiver off the ball, which is, he occupies him. That's fine. He eventually gets his outside release and he's getting vertical. He comes in behind it on the stick, and then he has the flat. So same idea, same concept. And again, the rule is 3 receivers over here. Running back is swinging away. Okay, so the rules still stay the same. They still stay the same. Well, you know, what if you had your H back, or oops, keep messing that up. Say, for example, you had tight end slash H back. A lot of times I have my Z as my H back. Well, the rules are the rules. Again, if we're running stick, this is a 3x1 set right here. So keep repeating myself. There's the clear out route. Here's the stick. He's the middle receiver. There's the flat route. Running back, swings away. And those are the rules I follow, no matter what formation we're in. And so do I show all of my formations in my install? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I want them to understand the basic concepts of a 2x2 set, which is typically my ace, where I have two receivers either side and then a running back, and a 3x1 set. And then once we can start getting those, then I start putting in my H back set or my split backs or even empty. Okay, or your bunch sets. Now, early and often, again, I am implementing motion. Okay, so I'm showing them, okay, what happens, and I am kind of going over what happens if we shift. What happens if we shift? All right, even if it's a fast motion. Again, fast motion, they have to think quickly, because that fast motion, I'm putting the receiver in motion really, really quickly, and they all of a sudden become part of the concept. And I can show you that here in just a second. So those are all things that I try and I harp on and touch on very, very early. All right. And it's very, very simple. Again, I don't know how else to make the rule any more simpler than 2x2, running back, you're part of the concept. 3x1, you swing away from the trips. And that could be for essentially any concept. And I got, obviously, if you tag something. So let me just show you, since it popped into my head, about fast motion. So just bear with me one more time. So fast motion, what does that do? Okay, so if we had, go back into two by two set here, and say, for example, I want to put him in fast motion, right? And we'll actually put him where this makes it more sense. I want to put him in a fast motion. You can call that fly, you can whatever, zips, rabbit, whatever kind of motion you call it, towards a fast motion. He's going to be part of the kind. So we're gonna fast motion into a 3x1 set, and then we're gonna we'll call it ace zip stick, ace zip early stick. So he's zipping, we call that zip, which is a fast motion, into an early set. All right, so early is a 3x1 to the right. Okay, and we're calling stick to the side. So he zips right this way. Zip motion, if we call it, he would go all the way to the flat. So now he knows he's now becoming the flat. All right, this receiver is a stick. Here's your clear out. We zip motioned into a 3x1. Running back swings away. So you just have to understand, they have to understand what formation we are in when we snap the ball. And based on that formation, what is my responsibility? Am I the middle receiver? Am I the number 3 receiver? Am I the number 1 receiver? Am I the running back? Those are the things that it sounds like a lot, but it really is not. Once you start drilling it, once you start repping it, it really becomes that much easier for them to understand. So that is the end of the stream. That I'm gonna close it off here for tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope it helped. I mean, I had a bunch of questions about this from a few coaches over the week. So I wanted to kind of just maybe explain it a little bit better. I don't know how well I explained it. I hope you understood it. If you didn't, drop the questions. I'll be happy to answer them. Happy to help you. If you did like this stream, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Make sure you share it too. Also, do me a favor. It would really help me out if you share this, and also subscribe to the channel if you've not done so already. So also do me a favor, drop in the comments or on the community tab what kind of topics that you would like for me to cover on these Sunday conversations. Because I actually kind of enjoy these Sunday conversations. Um, I'm gonna try and plan them out a little bit further in advance. So if there's any topics you want me to cover or go over, or if you want to partake in the conversation, what kind of topics you want to hear about or talk about, let me know. Drop them in the comments so that I can start working on those and so that I can start setting those up. So I for those of you that were here, thank you. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope I answered some questions. I hope I didn't create more questions for you. If I did, please don't hesitate to ask. I'm always willing to help. So shoot me a line and I will do what I can to help you out. Again, like I've said before, I don't pretend to be the smartest coach in the world. I just try and find ways that work best for me, and I try and share those ideas. And if those ideas help, then great. If they don't, well, then I'm sorry. But again, if these help, let me know, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the future. So until then, I'll see you all later.